It's whiskey time!
Greetings, whiskey folk, and welcome back to Drinking Out Loud. Today's episode is all about the SMWS Outturn that we almost never had, but better late than never, right? I don't know if you heard about the strikes, but for a while there...
I was panicking. I went into a BC liquor store. There was almost nothing there. I'm like, what is going on?
The 2 weeks that you were here was the worst 2 weeks to be here. Thankfully, we weren't too affected at the Strath. We had some forethought and stocked up on the essentials. But the Outturn was delayed by a little while. Thankfully, the strike is now over, and thankfully we have, as you can see, all of the whiskey here ready to sell. At the time of this video going out, these are already up at strathliquor.com/SMWS. So if there's anything that you see right here that takes your fancy, maybe maybe this delightful 10.229. Maybe we've not seen a Lacheg for a while. We've got some Lacheg over here. Head straight to the store right now, because by the time you finish watching this video, it might have sold out. So,
well, I think I might just buy all this sledging right now. Yeah.
Screw it, why not? One per member, guys. Yeah. All right. Membership still in good standing?
No.
Oh, well, we'll fix that. Welcome back to the show, Leon Webb. You've seen him a couple of times on previous episodes. Leon is visiting all the way from Scotland, where he is now the distillery manager of Town of Ulan, believe it or not. I don't know who let this guy hold the keys.
I don't know what they were thinking.
But very exciting to have local adopted legend Leon Webb representing Victoria, BC a little bit over in Scotland.
Always good to see you again, Adam.
Always good to see you too.
Yeah, good to be back.
I assumed the next time I saw you after our drinking session in Big Bad John's was probably going to be in Scotland, but apparently fate had other plans for us.
Guess where I was last night?
Big Bad John's?
Yes.
Nice. Did you see the new Big Bad John's jerky?
No.
I sell it behind the counter now, yeah.
Really?
The chef's made his own jerky blend. We sell Big Bad. It's called Vinny's Big Jerk. VBJ's, yeah. Vinny's Big Jerk.
Right.
Chef Vinny makes it.
I got halfway through a bucket of peanuts.
Brilliant. Yeah. Gotta love the free nuts. All right. So, we've got a wonderful little Outturn here. This is Outturn 131 of the Canadian chapter. Very exciting. And we are kicking things off today with the purple one, spicy and sweet. Worm Silk. And a quick note from Kelly and Rob. Again, thanks you guys for helping put all this together despite all the odds. Apparently, this is definitely the first ever SMWS Outturn to have not one, but two whiskies with the word worm in the name.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
Fun little fact. Probably the last time, too. It seems very strange.
We should mark this occasion.
We should, by drinking some Worm Silk. An extremely expressive nose neat that implied white and yellow flowers. Do white and yellow flowers taste different? Maybe.
I couldn't tell. All Daisy tastes the same to me.
Rosewater, sandalwood, Turkish delight, tiger balm, and dried lavender. Weighty distillate, but also elegant and complex. Reduction brought notes of new leather, cough medicines, pulpy waxes, and citrus rinds. A wonderful, expressive dram, we thought. The neat palate displayed an initial richness with lemon jelly, pineapple syrup, peach schnapps, and melon balls. Water brought white stone fruits, lychee cordial, and elderflower champagne. Also, some dried fruit notes of apricot and sultanas. Elderflower champagne. Have you ever done that with the elderflower liqueur and do a little champagne? It's quite. I can't remember the life of me the name of the elderflower liqueur now.
The problem with champagne is it's not whiskey.
Yeah. Although, have you tried the Odd American champagne cask?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's fine. If it's mostly whiskey, then it's okay. Yeah.
All right, Wormsil. This is definitely whiskey.
Right.
So this is distillery 48.143, an outturn of 216 bottles. Distilled on the 12th of November 2012. 12/11/12, nice.
Mm-hmm.
From the Speyside region, a region that you're very familiar with now. Mm-hmm. Well, you always have been, really.
Yeah.
First fill ex-bourbon barrel is the cask, 9 years aged, and came out at 60.4 ABV. Would you like to do the honours, Leon?
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure. I pass Balmanac Distillery on the way to Aviemore when I'm doing my little trip down memory lane trips from Tavnavelin to Aviemore.
Nice.
So it's on the way. But when you're passing Balmanac, they're not even advertising the whiskey, they're advertising the Korean gin.
Of course, yeah. Well, it's pretty much, it's the only official bottling, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready. Please get yourself a glass, though.
I'm still in Japan mode where you have
Oh,
to
thank you.
pour the guest first. Okay.
Oh, lovely.
So what are you getting there, Adam?
Specifically white and yellow flowers.
More white or more yellow?
I'd say a light yellow.
Hmm.
No,
Like the colour of hay, maybe.
yeah, straw. I'm getting lemon sherbet on the nose, actually.
Yes, UFOs.
Yes, fun fact about UFOs. I think I might have said this on one of my previous videos, but I just love this fact so much. There is only one factory in the world that makes UFOs.
Really?
Yeah, and this is a candy ish kind of thing in the UK. It's like a wafer that's UFO shaped with a little sort of hollow bit with sherbet in the middle, and it's the same factory that makes the communion wafers.
Where is it?
France, I believe.
France?
Yeah.
All right. Only the French would be crazy about UFOs.
Right?
Yeah.
Probably entirely for the English market. But yeah, it's UFO wafer is legitimately exactly the same as communion wafers.
So it's approved by the Pope then.
Exactly.
Every time you have a
in a
UFO.
pinch, if you need a Eucharist and you're out of communion wafers, just nip to the corner store, get some 2 pence UFO candies, and
I'm not sure if they're a Pope approved colour though, are they?
Oh, probably not.
Or
Yeah, pink.
Probably one of the white ones.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm getting sort of apple cider.
Yeah. Apple seed.
Nice.
Quite a lot of green apple.
Yeah.
Your Granny Smiths.
Turkish delight. I'm not really getting the floral side of things that it says. Are you getting much floral on the nose?
More fruit.
Yeah, definitely for me. Orchard fruit and light citrus fruit.
Ooh, yeah. It's got a nice bit of heat to it. What did you say it was? 60.4. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got some heft.
Well, I'm going to need this when I get back, you know. Tom the Rolling is about 13 or 14 degrees centigrade right now.
Oh wow!
So we're not experiencing all this kind of weather.
Yeah.
We'll be wrapping up warm soon with our tartan rugs next to the wood stove, drinking our cast drink.
With your peat fires.
Yeah.
Did you have much of the heat wave?
Yeah, we did. We actually broke the record this year.
Yeah.
And for any of you that know Scotland, there's a few nice beaches like at Loch Morlich. And when we hit 33 degrees centigrade, I think, a few weeks ago, It was like Torremolinos. It was absolutely hilarious. It was like Benidorm. Like the beach was just covered in bodies, and there was all these like sunshades and windbreakers up everywhere, and the ice cream just flowing. And yeah,
Wow.
you could have been in Spain, and you were in Scotland. And I was just like, wow. In fact, to get parked for Lochmorlich, there's about 3 miles of traffic, all just parked along the side of the road. It was just crazy. But yeah. Global warming, I think, is actually helping Scotland in some way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think Europe's suffering its biggest drought for 500 years, and a real concern that there's going to be enough water to go around. So such a water-intensive industry as Scotch, I mean, we need to keep those water levels up.
Yeah. And try as much as you can to repurpose the water after you've used it, like some of the distilleries in Islay that feed the local swimming pool.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, yeah. So, as you mentioned, this is indeed a Balmena, which we just don't really see. They're few and far between, even in independently bottled whiskies, and they haven't released any official bottlings. So,
well, how many casks is that? So it's 143.
Yeah,
Wow.
which over almost 40 years isn't many.
Right.
Yeah.
A laggard in the industry. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it's kind of nice to see these in the SMWS because you very rarely see them elsewhere.
I bet they've done more than Tamnavulin, though, haven't they?
I don't know how many Tamnavulins they've had.
Yeah.
Very few.
Very few.
I've never seen one.
Me neither.
Yeah.
If anyone's got one, give us a shout.
Yeah, I would be very intrigued to try one. So this bottle is available right now at stratfordliquor.com/SMWS. The price on this one is, it's members only. It's below the 180 mark, so you have to be already a member to purchase this bottle. It is 166 even.
Bargain.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, happy with that. And off to a very interesting flavour profile for whiskey number 2. And I'm not sure who chose the order this time. It was probably our friends over at Kensington Wine Market. They often have the first chance to try some of these whiskies. So if you feel the order's a bit strange, blame those guys, not me. I don't set the order. But the second whiskey is from Oily and Coastal.
Oh,
right? Isn't that's pretty interesting?
It's usually later in the game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's usually right before the night. Yeah. So we are heading now for Mexican Mixed Pebbles.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, we'll cut back in because Leon quite rightly reminded me that, hey, you didn't try it with water, which is a bad move. So we just added some. And the first thing Leon said was baked apple pie, which straight up on the nose, I have to say, that's quite incredible. It's morphed from fresh apples to baked apples, quite interestingly.
Yeah, it's bringing out more of that fresh pastry, fresh butter, nice crumble kind of flavour with the apple. The apple's still there, but there's a bit more vanilla and other things going on.
Totally. So for science, we have added water. And I will try and remember to do so from now on.
God bless science.
Yes. Yeah. Next up is that Mexican pebble thing. What was it called? Mexican beach pebbles? Mexican mixed pebbles. All right. A coastal scene developed in our mind as we sat early morning in front of our cottage with a steaming mug of coffee, listening to the relaxing sound of the waves as they reached the pebbled beach shoreline. The sun started to warm up the air as we got ourselves granola with smoked oats, dried fruit, and dark chocolate. As the nights were still cold, following breakfast, we got black traditional coal scuttle from the living room and filled it to the brim for later that day. By now it was time for elevenses with a cup of sweet and creamy brown sugar milk tea, accompanied by Mexican-style melon balls with chili, salt, and lime. Cool.
That sounds delicious.
It really does.
Yeah.
I like how Mexican Mixed Pebbles is the name, yet we had to wait until the very end of the last sentence to get the word Mexican.
Mexican or Mexican?
Huh?
Mexican.
Mexican-style melon balls.
Ay, caramba.
Yeah, do they have specific melon balls in Mexico? I've never been. Have you been to Mexico?
Yes.
How is it?
A few times. It's very Mexican.
That checks out. Yeah.
Although not quite as many sombreros as I was hoping to see. Yeah. No, Mexico's great. It's just a good vibe down there.
Yeah.
They like to have fun in Mexico. Any country that creates tequila
must
have a propensity to party, surely. This
is true. My predecessor at the Strath, I'm not sure if you ever met Colin. He was manager before Rick. He retired from the Strath and actually moved down to Mexico because he loved tequila and mezcal so much.
All right.
He moved back again shortly after. I don't think it was quite what he was expecting.
With liver failure.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, I've always been intrigued to go check Mexico out.
I've had one tequila too many. Had to come back. Was it they say like 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was a sign on Big Bads once.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Oh, that is quite delightful. I am picking up a tiny touch of smoke on the nose, though. Barely perceptive, but it's there.
Smells like petrichor.
Yes. I'm surprised the SMWS didn't. Oh my God, have you tasted it yet?
Mm-hmm.
That is divine. Wow.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. Really interesting play having it this early in the lineup. I can kind of see it though, because the flavors are there, but they're not overpowering. All right, let's go through the particulars. This is Distillery 10, which you probably know by now, and the 229th expression from it. It is Outturn. There's one of 246 bottles. It was distilled on the 22nd of October 2008. It is from Islay. That narrows it down a bit. It's a second fill ex-bourbon hogshead, 12 years aged, and came out at 61.6.
It's a salt bomb, that.
It really is, isn't it? It's the margarita.
Delicious. Wow.
Wow.
Never had a bad 10.
No, I love it. I love a good 10.
Yeah.
It's flexible as well. There's so many things you can do with a 10. Yeah, that is.
It's probably the locals' favourite on the island too.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's the key component of the traditional local favourite blend, of course, Black Bottle.
That's right. Yeah.
Which have you seen one looking like that in a while? I've got a classic Black Bottle
nice.
next to the record player there.
Is that the old recipe? Is it?
Yeah. Well, turn to your right, you'll see it. It's the green bottle there next to the Flaming Heart. That's I think the 1980s.
It's harder to turn these days.
Distillery work's getting to you.
All the bones are cracking. Yeah, it's divine. Like you see, divine.
Yeah. It's a little bit of everything all rolled into one, isn't it? Tiniest little hints of smoke. This beautiful salinity, this beautiful sort of flint-like thing going on.
Hot stones.
Yeah. With a little bit of citrus, a little bit of chili powder.
But it's the salt combined with the peppery fruit. The oiliness, the earthiness is just, it's got everything, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah.
Yeah, can I take this one home with me?
We need it for the tasting in 2 days, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's a real shame you couldn't extend the trip. The Outturn's on Thursday.
I'll cancel my flights.
Lovely. Well then. So yeah, this is a Distillery 10, which of course is Boonehaven. It was released in the 1980s for the first ever time as a single malt, which sounds like not that long ago, but then I often forget, because it's before I was born, that almost all single malts didn't start until the 70s or 80s. It wasn't really a thing until then.
Yeah.
So it was relatively early on in the single malt game, I guess. But it came out with the tagline, the unpronounceable malt, which I think they're really living up to with their peated expression names, like Struidair and... Yeah. So yeah, and that's my go-to rule actually with official bottling Booners, is that if you can pronounce the name, it's probably unpeated because it's just Boonehaven 12. If you can't pronounce the name, it's peated. It's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, I like your thinking.
So this is available right now. Limited quantities, of course. Head to strathleger.com/SMWS. $240.78 for that Boonehaven. Beautiful.
With water, a little fresher.
Oh yeah, the water. I almost forgot. Thanks for saving me.
A bit more peaches and cream, perhaps.
So, pre-water, it was about 8 o'clock at night. With water, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. A bit more UFO in there, too.
Yeah, a bit sherbety.
Yeah.
How sacrilegious. Very nice.
Good job, Budahaven.
Yeah,
Cheers.
very good job indeed. Up next, whiskey number 3 is the Sweet Kiss of Leather Splinters. The initial nose suggested heather honey, dried flowers, hibiscus tea, malt loaf, and natural licorice. None of that supernatural licorice. We also got winter herbs, bouillon stock, candied hazelnuts, and treacle on brown bread. A wonderful sense of richness and texture. With water, we found rapeseed oil, turmeric, cherry-scented nail polish, and freeze-dried raspberry. A wee pouch of menthol tobacco left lying out somewhere in the background. Pause for the pop. Lovely. The arrival in the mouth was warm and rich with spices. Also, thick notes of cod liver oil, waxes, black tea, miso paste, wintergreen, and lemon cough drops. Reduction brought barley sugars, sweet milk stout, Caledonian ice cream, capitalized, I'm guessing that's a brand, hot mash water, wild strawberry and mint tea. Extremely satisfying, and it was matured for 5 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead before being transferred into a second fill, heavy toast medium char hogshead for the remaining 3 years.
Okay, cool.
Bit of HGMC.
Slander your ass.
Slash of that. Caledonian ice cream, familiar?
Mm-mm.
No, me either.
There's a lot of good ice cream stores in the Highlands, though.
Oh yeah,
Some really good ones. Fockerber's has a great
sounds
ice
excellent.
cream store.
Nice.
Abbymore has a good one. Yeah, there's a lot of good bakeries. And the interesting thing going back actually to the place I grew up was how much it's changed over the last 20 years. It seems like a lot of people have moved to the area and there's a lot of money now. I mean, like all these cars are like BMWs and Mercedes and stuff. And then, the amount of nice little delicatessens and things and bakeries has really improved. So the whole Highlands is glowing right now. It's looking good.
A lot of retirees.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of settlers, I think they're called. I think the locals call them settlers.
English folk.
But no, it's fine. It's a very diverse, vibrant place to live.
Smells like cinnamon hearts a little. Like almost straight up fireball.
This is the spice bomb of the tasty.
Coming from the juicy oak and vanilla, it's unexpected. So this is 105.40, so relatively newer in the SMWS numbering thing. Although we're up to 152 now, which of course is very exciting.
Are we going to go down that rabbit hole now or later?
Oh, we can go down that rabbit hole now and go it up, I guess. So,
do you have any?
No, it will be it will be arriving.
Yeah.
Hopefully, so long as strikes and things don't happen. Hopefully, it will be here in time for a launch in the new year. So early 2023 is the plan. But we will be getting some. But yeah, it was revealed a couple of days ago as part of the Scottish Outturn, or the British, I guess. It's not only available to Scottish people.
The first ever Canadian bottling, isn't it?
And I think it's particularly interesting and particularly cool that the first Canadian bottling wasn't a rye, but was a single malt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Canada's going down the right path.
They are.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's been officially announced what single malt, but let's just say that Leon had something to do with it and leave it at that, shall we?
And Pat. Don't forget Pat.
Oh, and Pat.
Yeah.
Which Pat, though?
Pat Dunlop.
Well, there's another Pat, too.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Sorry. Patrick
couple
and Pat.
of Pats had something to do with it. Yeah.
So
and funnily enough...
It was like a Leon Pat sandwich.
Yeah. And funnily enough, actually, we were just talking about Big Bad John's. The part of the how this all came to be with Distillery 152 was a late night, relatively drunken conversation that I had with Kelly and Rob, who were visiting in Big Bad John's, and I ended up giving them a couple of bottles of the Strath's own single cask versions of Distillery 152 to take back to Scotland, and that really got the ball rolling. So.
Yeah.
So
it's really Adam's creation.
God, no.
Yeah.
No. I had very little to do with it, but I'm very much looking forward to drinking some.
Well, cheers to your efforts.
Yeah, and to yours.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get some Tablet Women out of you too.
You know what? I did actually bring a really special sample for you, but unfortunately got drunk at the wedding.
It got drunk at the wedding, or you got drunk at the wedding?
I do apologise.
That's quite all right.
It's like, I'm going to bring this thing.
I'll just have to come and visit.
And it was a really special Townable, and unfortunately it's gone. But
never to be seen again.
There's more. No.
Oh, that's good news.
Next time.
So yes, Distillery 105. One that I believe we haven't seen since the very first year that the SMWS was here in Canada, which is kind of cool. Apparently we had several bottlings in that first year. But yeah, not a common distillery by any means. 277 bottles, 26th of June 2012, another space cider. Ex-bourbon with a second fill HGMC couple of year finish there.
66.2.
Yeah, 66.2. 8 years age. 66.2. You can run a car on this.
Water alert.
Should we go Ralphie style? I can go get a teaspoon.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's really interesting. Smells a bit like Fireball. Tastes a bit like Jägermeister. This is a party whiskey.
I can see where is this the Mexican influence coming in?
No, that was the Buna.
Leather splinters. Okay.
Yeah. Different kind of party. That's nice. Yeah, the licorice coming through there. It's a little wormwoody as well.
There's a lot of spice going on in this.
It really is. I find it very interesting that they went for juicy oak and vanilla as the tasting thing. I would have definitely gone spicy.
Yeah.
One of the two spicy ones.
So it's almost like a Christmas dram, this.
Yeah.
You can have it with remember you get the oranges with the cloves stuck in them.
Yeah. The what's it called? I should know this. My dad was a vicar and we did it every single year. The Christingle.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the candle stuck in an orange for some reason. And the things with dolly mixtures.
That's what they should have called this. The Christingle.
Christingle dram. The one interesting thing, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I have a feeling whoever put these notes together wasn't a smoker. Because I've smoked menthol cigarettes. The menthol is in the filter, not in the tobacco. I don't think I've ever come across a pouch of menthol tobacco. Have you? No. I feel like burning the menthol would be kind of painful.
There's definitely a bit of ashtray in this. You know what I mean? Despite it being a space hide.
Yeah. Like a sun-baked cracked porcelain ashtray.
Yeah, maybe just that menthol cigarette mention just got me thinking.
Yeah. Benson and Hedges menthol.
But there's definitely no peat in this.
Very unlikely, yeah. Yeah.
So probably just a...
Well, actually, I don't know about that. I don't know if this distillery does do a peated expression. They might do.
Possible, but not that I've seen. Yeah.
Not that they would release. Although I don't think they have an official bottling, do they?
Well, nobody would have ever thought Town and Mullen had done a heavily peated expression.
This is true. Apparently, I was hearing rumours. What year was that? Do you know?
It was 2007 or 9 or something.
I wonder if that corresponds with a closure of an Islay distillery when stocks were short. Because that's what happened with Brora, right?
With Town and Mullen, it was a case of them putting new stills in 2009. I think it was just a whole bunch of experiments just to see what worked.
Yeah.
So they tried different levels of peat and things as
Fair
well.
enough.
Yeah.
So it wasn't to fulfill a specific need other than curiosity.
That's it. Science. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, really, really interesting whiskey. For most members, the first time you'll have ever seen this here in Canada in the SMWS, which is super cool. And there's only been about 10 a year.
and check out Tormore, the pictures of it. It's actually a beautiful distillery. Really
absolutely.
Nice.
So this is a Tormore, and an interesting little fact about Tormore, there is a bit of a Canadian link to Tormore. So it was built by a company called Shenley Industries for their Long John blend. Back in I didn't write the year down, but I think it was the 60s, somewhere around there. And Shenley, really interesting company, New York based. They had a bourbon called Old Quaker Bourbon. But of course, their lasting legacy is Shenley's Golden Wedding, which was a Canadian rye that they made. And not only did they make Shenley's Golden Wedding, which is still available, now made by the Black Velvet Distillery. Might have always been made by Black Velvet, I'm not entirely sure. But back in the day, they also had Shenley Black Label, which is particularly of interest because during World War II, it was the only liquor that was available to the submariners in Midway. and they got sick of it and ended up nicknaming it Shendley's Black Death.
Wow.
So that's a great Canadian link.
The Battle of Midway. I remember reading a book about that one time, but I don't remember the mention of was it Black Death or whatever. Yeah.
Drinking Black Death. Epic, I'll give it that.
Yeah.
So yes, interesting thing about this Tormore is that it's only available to existing members. Yes, it is. It may well be a fantastic single cast strength Speyside whiskey aged 8 years, but it's only $179.91, which is 9 cents under the limit. So it is technically under $180, therefore only available to existing members. You can't do the offer where if you've never been a member before, you can buy a whiskey that's over $180 and become a member. That is not eligible on this whiskey.
Yeah.
So I suggest if you really like this whiskey, buying another one that gets you the membership and this one at the same time.
Just buy 2 bottles.
Buy 2 bottles.
Yeah.
Easy as that.
Don't bring money, we'll give you money.
So this next whiskey, I have to admit, I've got a bit of deja vu. I swear we've already had a whiskey with this name, because I remember trying to look it up, and we'll see a picture of the name in a second. But that might be all in my head. I can't find any reference to it, so I may have just dreamt about this whiskey at some point. Or maybe I tried it in Edinburgh. Maybe I tried it when I was at the Vaults. That would make sense, because you do get things a few months later.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever the case may be, this next whiskey is called an Italian Grape Cake.
Sounds like you had a good time in Scotland.
I really did.
Yeah.
We were transported to Bella Italia as we baked a torta Bertoloni, a traditional cake from the Lombardy region in the north of Italy. Lombard Direct, remember those ads? That's great.
No.
In the north of Italy, that is made at harvest time using a grape called Uva Fragola, strawberry grape. Very small and very aromatic, a fruity, sweet explosion in the mouth, just like those grape-coloured lollipops we had as children, with a lingering, refreshing aftertaste. Water added aromas of orange blossom and apricots, like in a muscat wine, whilst on the palate the elegance and fruitiness of a Mirabella plum brandy pours to the top. Following 14 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead, we transferred this whiskey into a first fill Sauternes barrique for about 4 years. Very cool.
Okay, sounds like
Yeah, you want to read the stats there?
Okay. Coming in at 18 years old, 55.2% alcohol, distilled 23rd of April 2003. It's a Speyside whiskey. Initial cask, ex-bourbon, and then final cask. First fill, ex-Outturn. So it's going to be a sweet whiskey, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, seems that way.
One of 169 bottles as well.
Nice.
Cask number 185 from Distillery 36.
I'm particularly interested by the fact that this is the first whiskey the Outturn that is less than 60 APP.
Yeah, quite a bit less too.
Yeah, it's going to feel like such a breath of fresh air. Oh, blimey. Concord grapes. It's like Welch's grape juice.
That's one great bomb, isn't it?
That's wild. Huh.
Quite an oily one, this one too.
Yeah.
How are the lights?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's slow. It's not even dripping. It's just kind of suspended halfway down the glass now.
Levitating.
How's it doing that? I tried to create legs. I just kind of created icicles. That's wild.
I'm getting a lot of it's almost like a croissant or some kind of other pastry with grapes in it. Does that exist?
I don't know. It feels to me like someone's made a Bakewell tart but substituted the cherry on top for a Concord grape.
Yeah. You got it. Maybe a bit of black currant or blackberry.
Yeah, blackcurrant jam instead of raspberry jam. Yeah. We've got an interesting twist on the Bakewell.
Preserve. It's definitely a preserve whiskey. This one.
Yeah. That's quite something.
Maybe a bit of Forest Gâteau cake as well.
Yeah.
It's got that cherry, dark berry type thing going on.
I always found it fun how in English the posh cake is a gâteau, and in French the posh version of a cake is called cake. It's like, it's posh because it's not from here.
And how on earth in Scotland is a cake an oat cake and bread shortbread?
Yeah,
It's the wrong way round.
Yeah. There's a lot of things about Scottish language that makes no sense. I mean, getting the messages, what's that about?
Yeah. Like, you'll find it in the press.
Aye.
No idea what that is. But like going back to Scotland, it has been a little tricky at times to tune in. Because you go away for like 5 or 6 years and then you come back and you're like, oh my God, everyone's still broad as anything.
Do you find yourself using Canadian terms at all?
Yeah, and when I do, I get ribbed for it.
Yeah, you call it car trunk.
So if I ever say trunk, gas, awesome, that whole Canadian thing, then I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
So I have to try and think a little bit before I say things sometimes.
Does it feel like you're going back to prohibition, though, when it comes to cannabis? Is that a bit weird? Because it's just not around over there still, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make any difference to me, but yeah, like...
Because that's the biggest thing whenever I've got someone from the UK coming to visit here is like, there's just cannabis stores everywhere. What is... This is so weird. Yeah,
everyone's talking about having like candies or gummies or whatever.
Because I kind of got used to it now. So like, actually the weirdest thing for me going back and visiting a couple of months ago was how you couldn't get cannabis, but you could get flavored vape things still. Yeah. It's like, that's odd. Like it's completely flipped which things are illegal.
Yeah. I'm sure Truss is going to be pro-cannabis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you might not have to worry about it for long.
She looks like she's a good time at a party, doesn't she? It'll bore you to death. Yeah.
Do you think Sturgeon might be pro-cannabis? Because that might be more important later.
Yeah, I think there's always the pint factor with politicians. Like, which politician would you most like to have a pint with at a pub? Who would yours be?
Which, like, of any politician?
Yeah.
Gordon Brown. Sorry, no, John Major.
Pushing peas around your plate.
Yeah. No, honestly, any politician, just because I think the stories would be wild.
Yeah.
W. Bush.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I don't necessarily agree with his politics, but I think he'd be a very interesting conversationalist.
Right. Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah. I think the Finnish Prime Minister would be pretty good.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
She looks like she's a party. Yeah. Judging by the recent...
Or actually, Jacinda down in New Zealand. Yeah. She seems like a good crack.
Yeah.
I'm always intrigued by these places that are getting, like, young people to be in charge of the country. Like, I mean, first of all, I think it's brilliant. Like, the fact that almost every prime minister and president is always over 60 for some reason. I think it's really interesting. I look forward to being in a country which is, not governed by someone who's actually vaguely my age. Well, hopefully I don't have to wait 40 more years until that happens.
Well, hopefully it means they can take a longer view as well.
True, yeah.
Personally, I would just put the kids in charge.
Like the actual children, just to see what happens.
Like at the wedding I was just at, they put all the kids right in the middle and all the adults on the outside, and it's the first time I've ever seen that. It was a stroke of genius because all the kids were just having a great time in the middle, and eventually they started doing a conga line, and it turned out to be a bit like Lord of the Flies or something. They just kind of took over.
Nice,
but in a good way. Yeah.
But the kids in charge. It'd be interesting to see what they do. Like one of my favourite things. Are you familiar with the Canadian band Moxie Frubus? They had a song called "King of Spain," which is really good fun, good drinking song, and it's a guy basically pretending to be the King of Spain. And part of his royal decree is he's going to make Friday part of the weekends and give every new baby a chocolate eclair.
Oh, perfect!
Great. I'm in.
When can I move?
Yeah. Grapey. Very, very grapey.
This is the grapiest whiskey I have ever had.
It's got to be the Sauternes cask. Like,
it is good.
That's wild. It's really good.
Yeah. And for anyone who loves wine but hasn't fully got into whiskey yet, this is going to be your gateway.
Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe even brandies.
Yeah, for sure. Just got that brandy note. This is exploration whiskey. This is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pushing the boundaries.
So this is Distillery 36, which is Benrinnes. And interesting thing about Benrinnes is that it was founded in 1826, and in its first 70 years of being a distillery, it had to be rebuilt not once but twice. First because of a flood, second because of a fire. They have a bit of a rough track record there.
Yeah.
And a particularly interesting thing about this bottling, because this was distilled in 2003, which means that this is triple distilled or partially triple distilled, because they didn't stop doing that until 2007.
Oh,
yeah,
right. Okay, it really
so
is exploration whiskey.
Yeah,
then.
It's a wild, wacky, partially triple distilled ex-Outturn cask 18-year-old whiskey.
Yeah,
and I like that.
This is the kind of whiskey that you would introduce your friends to at a party because you've never tried anything like this before. You know.
Absolutely. And I think it speaks volumes that the SMWS is willing to be fun and experimental with older, interesting whiskies like this. Because a lot of times, being experimental, you tend to do it with younger whiskies, because if you screw up, you've not lost that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, doing so with an older whiskey, how old was it when it's... it was 14 when they transferred it into this Outturn cask. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
And if you compare this to the flora and fauna, Benrinnes, totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different whiskies.
Yeah, it's really is nothing like any official bottling Benrinnes. That's kind of cool.
This is fantastic stuff.
And it is available right now. I believe we got 2 full cases of this one, so there should be a decent amount. There might still be some left if you're watching this. strathliquor.com/SMWS, $260.78, which for an 18-year-old whiskey is bloody good.
Just got a hint of Parma Violet.
Parma Violet. Ooh, yeah. Let's do that water. I like Parma Violets. I've actually got a pack in the cupboard. I saw some in the store the other day and picked some up. The other day, 3 months ago now. And picked some up because a lot of people didn't know what Parma Violets were. And we have a Parma Violet flavoured gin in the store right now. And everyone was like, what the hell's a Parma Violet?
Well,
so I had to
well done
educating
the masses.
I just had to. They were very turned off when I said it was basically like a love heart that tasted like lavender.
Yeah. It sounds disgusting, but it's actually amazing. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I see that. It's meatier almost with water. It's got that slight bordering on sulfuric meatiness going on now.
Yeah, it's like a dried ham. From the
Serrano ham.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, well, we go ever onwards and upwards with the next whiskey, which is from the Deep, Rich and Dried Fruits collection, and is I don't actually know how to pronounce this. I think it's Douro Cruz? It's a region in Portugal, isn't it? Douro.
Let's go for Douro.
Douro Cruz.
Douro.
We imagine walking through a wine cellar of one of the lodges in Vila Nova de Gaia, located close to the Douro, whatever it is, river. The air was filled with sweet wood char, dark toffee, and dried strawberries. On the palate, neat, the tart, juicy cherries and orange peel bitterness was wonderfully balanced by the sweet flavour of wild cranberries. After the addition of water, the scent of sweet tobacco and tropical fruits appeared at first, but soon strawberries were back, this time fresh and dipped in chocolate, and topped with toasted coconut. The taste reminded us of a long barrel-aged Colita port. Pause for the pop. Ooh, hell of a pop.
That's a good one.
Which in essence is a tawny port from one single harvest/vintage. Try it. Warm smell of Colitas rising up.
I'll need an empty glass, Adam.
Oh, yeah, okay. Your wish is my command.
Yeah, good.
Lovely. Cool. So, yeah, funky looking bottle. This one is part of the SMWS's Vatted Malt series. Sorry, Blended Malt series.
Not allowed to say that. Naughty boy.
I must admit, I, for one, prefer the term blended malts. For me, vatting sounds so sterile. It sounds like you've just thrown a bunch of shit together into a big old plastic container and called it a day.
It's the art of blending, not the art of vatting.
Exactly. It's got more, artistic qualities to it. Does the whiskey more justice, I think.
Yeah.
A bit of information about this one from the guys at the SMWS. This wonderfully ruby red small batch is a celebration of sweet complexity. We've drawn together selected casks of Speyside single malt, some matured full term in bourbon barrels, and some additionally matured in ex-ruby port pipes for no less than 2 years. The result is rich, fruity, and evocative of trips to sunnier climes.
That's not Scotland then.
It depends. Earlier this year, maybe. I actually think this is the nicest label I've come across yet in the blended malt series. I dig the color scheme. I really like the pattern.
There's a bit of almost reflective stuff going on here.
Yeah, it's slightly shiny, which is kind of cool.
Embossing.
I think that is a beautiful label, and I honestly don't think that about most of the blended malts that they've produced so far.
Yeah.
Some of them are just a bit odd. Did you see the battle axe?
Mm-hmm.
It looked a little bit odd. It was just a giant picture of an axe.
Did it look like a child had drawn it with a crayon?
No, it just looked. It didn't look like a child had drawn it. It looked a bit Dungeons and Dragons-y almost.
Right.
I don't know. It didn't quite work for me. But this one,
you would have preferred the Space Marines.
Yeah, perfect. If you're gonna go wacky, go all the way wacky. Don't go halfway wacky. So the youngest whiskey in the blend is 10 years. There might be some older, and that youngest whiskey was distilled on the 10th of February 2011. The Outturn, they made 1,900 bottles. So how big's a quart pipe?
It's probably three casks or 2 casks.
Yeah. Because there's bourbon barrels in there as well. So yeah, probably 4 or 5, I'd say.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, not too big of a blend.
That's really tasty.
Campino.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, very Campino.
I do like port and whiskey.
Me too. I got a port cask Bunnahabhain that was released at the very beginning of the pandemic. I've still got a little bit left behind me. That was pretty excellent.
Is that the Brodier? Oh no, that's Lafroig. Port Lafroig.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah.
This was an SMWS one. I forget the name. I'll fetch it out later. But yeah, 50 ABV, as all of their blended malts so far have been. So that's kind of nice. It's a good, respectable ABV. I find it interesting that exactly 1,900 bottles. Like,
this whiskey is incredibly sweet, isn't it? It's almost syrupy.
It is. It's almost as sweet as an actual Campino candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like the sweet things in life, you'll love this whiskey.
I like it. I like it. I'm not usually a fan of overly sweet whiskies. I don't think this is necessarily overly sweet. The sweetness, what I don't like in a whiskey actually is when the sweetness doesn't match the flavors.
Yeah.
It feels sweet, but it doesn't. You can't pinpoint the sweet flavors. This is sweet, juicy berries.
Yeah,
it's
connected.
Not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you got a whiskey that tastes like an ashtray, but for some reason that ashtray is dusted in sugar, it's like, what?
Yeah.
But this makes sense with the flavors are going with it. The flavors are naturally sweet.
I can imagine drinking this whiskey, sitting watching the sun setting. You got your little table set up, patio. You know, it's an ideal summer whiskey.
It is, yeah. We're late in the game, releasing a summer whiskey. We're almost close to fall, but if you're wanting to hold on to the last moments of summer and capture them in a glass, there you go. You can have summer in the fall. You can have summer any time of year with this whiskey.
Mm-hmm. It gives you a lot of feedback for blended malt. You know, there's a lot going on there. It's not just like a one-dimensional whiskey. No,
there is a lot. It's
there's a bit of tannin wood to offset the sweetness too.
Yeah, and it reminded just then I got little hints of pomegranate.
Yeah,
which reminded me of I don't know if this was a thing elsewhere, but for about a year it was super popular in primary school for everyone to bring a pomegranate break and sit there with a little cocktail stick, just eating pomegranate one piece by piece.
It tastes sophisticated.
It does,
because it's sophisticated berries and fruits in this.
It really is, isn't it? It's not.
It's not just like your apples and bananas.
No,
your typical space.
It's strawberry, but it's freeze dried wild strawberries.
Yeah,
organic.
Yeah, or maybe like the air frozen stuff you get at Kennedy Space Center, like the little frozen strawberry balls.
Yeah, wild. Yeah, this would would be delightful with a nice little cheese platter, nice little bit of charcuterie.
I'm going to raise you one there.
Yeah?
Cigar.
Ooh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Sweet and smoke.
Yeah. I think this is a cigar dram. Kind of reminds me a little of the Dalmore cigar malt. Wait.
That's the biggest mistake people often have when pairing a whiskey and a cigar, is the amount of people that just automatically assume that you should have a smoky whiskey with a cigar. Well, no, you've already got the smoke.
Yeah, you don't need the smoke.
Offset it with something else.
yeah, exactly. Port and cigars go well with that. And this will do the job nicely.
Yeah. But why have port when you can have a port cask whiskey?
Oh, it's way better.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what? 50%?
Gets the job done.
Yeah, gets the job done.
And it's just a small batch 14. So this is the 14th of the blended malts that the SMWS has released now. It's pretty cool. Being a blended malt, it is a fantastic value for money. This again, and I feel like I've said this a lot this Outturn, is only available to existing members. $169.48 is the price.
Yep.
We did get 12 bottles, but I'm sure a lot of them sold at the tasting. So stratflicker.com/SMWS. And if we are sold out, don't forget you can always check out our partner stores for the SMWS. So that's Legacy over in Vancouver, Keg and Cork in Edmonton, and Kensington Wine Market over in Calgary. Cheers.
Grab a bottle now.
Absolutely. Next up, we have whiskey number 6 is The Early Bird Gets the Worm. The initial aroma suggested coconut macaroon, milk chocolate and game pie, a banana baked with Nutella, licorice chews, toasted fennel seed, and fruit scones topped with thick cream. A wonderful balance of distillate and sherry cask. Reduction brought brown breads and rich notes of foamy shilling ale, some meat gravy, dried sultanas, banana chips, and treacle pudding. The mouth was typical of this great Speyside make, oily, fatty, and robust. Many notes of herbal extracts, spiced fruit chutneys, orange wine, chocolate gingers, and hints of natural tar. The natural weight of a worm tub distillate shines. With water we found it became richly bready and full of lovely notes of dried exotic fruits, game meats, eucalyptus, espresso, and balsamic reduction. Nice. Previously matured in a bourbon hogshead for 12 years before being transferred to a second fill on a Rosso hogshead for the remainder of its maturation, which is around 2 years. Well, this is Distillery 44, Cask 149, an Outturn of 224 bottles from the 23rd of October 2006, another Speyside. We've had all Speyside and one Isla, I think, so far, haven't we? A second fill Oloroso hogshead finish, 62.1. We're back in the 60s, but 14 years aged at 62.1. That's pretty wild, isn't it? That held on to its strength.
Maybe this was a reasonably tucked away part of the warehouse where it wasn't. The angels weren't stealing much. Maybe it's well hidden from the angels, this one. What do you reckon?
Yeah, they buried it, maybe. Where was it? Someone, I think it's in the States. It's one of those whiskies that is like a partnership with a metal band or something. But someone in the States, I remember reading recently, is doing a whiskey where it's buried underground for a period of time.
Oh, yeah. Well, they don't do that in Sweden.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Cave whiskey.
Cave whiskey. Well, that's that French guy, isn't it? The Belgian guy who owns that network of caves in France. Michel Couvrier.
This is our second worm whiskey, right?
Oh, yes. Worm number 2. We're up to the second worm for the first and only ever time.
Did you watch Dune?
Oh, Dune.
Dune.
Sorry, your accent threw me off for a second.
Yeah, Dune.
Dune. Did I watch Dune? It's like, no, but I lived through it. No, I haven't seen Dune yet. Good?
Yeah.
Worth a watch?
Which of these whiskies would be the big worm?
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
I mean, for the worm tubs.
The big sandworm comes up and eats everything.
I mean, I get the worm for this one because of the worm tubs. It doesn't taste like worms. It tastes like it was made with a worm tub. Or smells like, rather. I haven't tasted it yet.
This whiskey could swallow you up like those big sandworms from Dune, couldn't it?
It really could, yeah. The nose, it feels like it's grabbing you from underneath.
And what do you think they were talking about when they mentioned spice?
Oh!
Maybe this is the spice.
Spice melange.
Mm.
Oh, wow. that is a prime example of when a spirit's like natural characteristics stand up to a strong sherry flavor, and they just kind of have this weird head-to-head sort of clashing where they're not fighting against each other, but feels like they're almost dancing.
Do you remember Harry Hill? British comedian.
Yeah.
And he would get two people on his show, and then he would fight. He'd be like, which is better? There's only one way to find out. Fight! So that's what this whiskey would do.
Yeah.
Distillery character versus sherry. Which is better?
Oh, dear.
Yeah. This one's...
You're not wrong.
It's an epic battle. Game of Thrones would be proud of this one.
I would. Oh. Yeah, it'd be hard pushed to choose a winner.
Mm.
But they're both standing up to the fight.
Perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
A lot of honey in this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it reminds me of those all-natural cough syrups, the honey-based with like cloves and everything. Yeah.
And maybe we've returned to our old friend, the Crunchy Bar.
Ah, the Crunchy Bar. Love a Crunchy Bar, yeah. A bit of sponge toffee.
Good old sponge toffee.
Yeah. Ah, British chocolate bars. If I'd known you were coming, I would have told you to bring me some chocolate bars.
I did. But I ate them all.
The wedding? Although it's all right, because a couple of days ago, Kristen was cleaning out the fridge, and she was like, Adam, did you know there's like a snack-sized Boost bar hidden at the back of the fridge? You what?
That's like the find of the century.
Yeah. Remnants from our trip.
This one does have quite a bit of heat on the palate, so I'm going to go for a bit of water now.
Yeah. Cinder toffee is a good call. It's, what is it? Paprika.
Mm-hmm. Cayenne pepper, paprika.
Yeah. Which I still think the rest of the world is missing a bit of a trick there, because at least in Belgium, and I think maybe Holland as well, paprika is the default flavor of potato chip, and they are fantastic.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. You can eat them all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, in Belgium, iced tea is sparkling, and it's so much better.
Mm.
Yeah. Lipton's iced tea is fizzy.
Who would have thunk it? Mm. Yeah, I do prefer that with a bit of water.
Yeah, it makes it a little less violent.
Brings out more creme brulee.
It does, yeah. On a silver platter.
Yeah, the world has returned to peace. The war is over. Everyone's eating creme brulee.
War is over. Merry Christmas. Oh, yeah, it's a feisty wee dram. But water definitely does tame it down a bit. So, Distillery 44 is, of course, Craigellachie.
Mm-hmm.
Not as people of BC might have you, Craigellachie. No.
Craigellachie.
Which is, I assume, relatively close to where you live.
Yeah, man. It's just up the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the great thing about Craigellachie is that they actually let the sun hit the stills.
Mm.
So on hot days, so maybe like 2 days a year, they like fully open the windows and the sun just comes streaming in.
Ooh.
And when you're driving past Craigellachie, you just get this like beautiful view of the copper pot stills through the
Nice.
the windows.
The shiny copper.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, if you like the idea of a big, meaty 14-year-old Oloroso Hogshead influenced whiskey, you can pick this up right now at stratliquor.com/SMWS for $253.83. And with that, yes, it's time. I know, especially during the summer, we have limited options when it comes to peated whiskey, but it's finally time to hit it up with a little bit of peat. Our final whiskey number 7 of this outturn, is Coastal Convolutions.
Now I'm excited.
A brilliant nose that initially suggested creosote on a fence, peat smoke drifting through hay bales, creel nets and carbolic acidity, myriad seashore and coastal notes. Water shifts things decisively towards the farmyard, with tractor engines, oily rags, hot peaty draff and boiler fumes. The palate had wonderful initial mouthfeel, with well-chiseled smoke tangled up with citrus peels. Also surprisingly sweet, with sweet peat smoke. Water added a menthol dimension along with licorice, coal dust, burnt toffee, and bonfire embers.
You say sweet peat?
Sweet peat.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Right. 42. One of the most requested numbers from our membership. I've been asked more times than I could possibly remember. How many times? I have no idea. When are we getting a 42 again?
Legic is a big hitcher.
Yeah,
And it really is in the whiskey geek community.
Yeah.
It's maybe been a bit under the radar in the past, but I think people are really like waking up to this dram. It's just beautiful.
Absolutely.
Legic.
We've had some absolutely incredible independently bottled shakes in the last couple of years, in the Dram Association especially. Actually, the highest rated whiskey for over a year was actually a shake. I actually have a bottle still, that one right there. 17-year-old Blackadder shake. Absolutely ridiculous. We've had some great Gordon MacPhail ones recently, but most of the SMWS ones that I feel like most of the SMWS ones we've had in the past were significantly younger. So I'm really interested to try now a 14-year-old from the SMWS. I think this is the first teenager. I think 11 or 12 was kind of where we peaked before. So, yeah. I can smell it from here.
Yeah. Don't need to hold the glass in.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. Ah. You know how, like, and this always amazes me, the fact that you can deep fry ice cream. This smells like deep fried smoke.
Yeah. It does. Deep fried
They've managed to batter a ball of smoke and deep fry it.
With a bit of vanilla ice cream in there.
Yeah. And bacon.
Oh, so much bacon.
Oh,
In there.
Oh, it's good.
It's like when you wake up and you want a bacon roll.
Yeah.
You just have one of these instead.
It's the worst thing about summer living in this building is that every so often we have to sleep with the windows open because we need some air. We get a bit too warm. One of our walls is just cinder blocks and it heats up all day, so it's very warm in the bedroom.
A good heat storage device.
Exactly. So we crack the window open at night. And we have a neighbour that will quite often cook bacon really early in the morning. So you just wake up in the middle of, like, at 6:30 in the morning and be like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. All I can think about is bacon.
That's called starting off on the right note.
Yeah. And it feels like that has happened. Like the neighbour is cooking bacon on one of the same days where the wind is in the direction, bringing in the sea breeze from the breakwater. We get this sort of rich, sort of salty, seaweedy aroma coming into James Bay as well.
That is magnificent.
It's like, you know how the seahorses, this is a sea pig.
We're back to salt again.
Yeah.
Smoke. Barbecue. There's usually a little lemony note, like lemon meringue in Legic or Tobermory.
Yeah.
There's a bit of that there.
There's a slight pickled, almost like caper kind of a thing.
This is the perfect dram for lacquering your boat.
Yes.
You're sitting there, you've got like the seaweed covered rocks, you've got your boat set up, you've just scraped all the oysters and all the other stuff off the bottom, and you're just about to re-lacquer it. This is the dram you have for that.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm a happy man.
I am also a happy man. This is a hell of a dram to finish on. Welcome back to the SMWS, Lachey. It's good to have you here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is frankly phenomenal. And I don't think there's much more I can say about it.
Apart from,
buy this whiskey. If you don't, I will. And I can't afford to buy it all.
Do I dare to put a bit of water with this?
Well, here's the thing. If we have too much water, we can just have more whiskey.
Okay, good.
Ooh.
If there was such a thing as a salt angel, I think it would be in this bowl.
Where you like lie in a bed of salt and do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Forget snow angels. We're going
it's all about the salt angels now.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
come to mention it, as soon as you said that, it reminded me of like my saltiest experience in my life.
Mm.
Visiting the Dead Sea in Israel.
Oh, wow.
Floating there,
Yeah.
yeah. You know the old postcard of a guy reading a newspaper floating in the Dead Sea? And
Yeah.
I did that. It was great.
Brilliant. Yeah. Did you take a suitable paper with you?
I think I had the New Jerusalem Post or something.
All right.
I didn't actually read it. I just posed for a photo, which I never actually saw. I remember posing for the photo. I don't remember ever seeing the photo. I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens to that.
Well, if it was all in Hebrew text, it might have been quite difficult to
Yeah,
read out
yeah.
the headlines. But
My biggest memory of that though is so it looks so nice and serene when you're actually floating there.
Mm.
But what you don't see off camera is right at the shore, there's just giant, jagged rocks of salt.
all right, yeah,
Don't stub your toe on it.
you've got to negotiate past these.
You
things.
really do. And if you cut your foot on one of those, which I did, remember how salty that water is? Holy crap, that hurts.
But at least you know it's instantly cured.
Yes, this is true. But the worst thing is, in the panic of the searing pain that you've suddenly endured, don't ever let your head go underwater and don't get that salt water in your eyes, which I also did.
With a bottle of vinegar. Can I have a bit more pain, please?
Yeah, Dead Sea water in the eyes. Not good.
No.
Not good.
Well, probably is good in the long run, but not the short run.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
it's probably like
maybe cured diseases I didn't know I had.
Get rid of all your eye ailments.
Yeah. So, yes, this is Lechaig, and although Lechaig is, of course, made at the Tobermory distillery in the town of Tobermory, which in Britain, of course, is better known as Balamory.
Yeah.
What's the story in Balamory? Wouldn't you like to know? Kids TV show, if that didn't translate. The name actually comes from a long-lost distillery that was founded way back in 1798 and closed in 1930, which is a nice little bit of trivia, in case you ever are at a whiskey-themed pub quiz. Yeah, this beautiful 14-year-old Lechaig can be yours. $238.61 is the price. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful whiskey. I don't think we ever went through the stats, did we? 42.75. It's 14 years aged from the 29th of March 2007. An Outturn of 256 bottles, an ABV of 58.4. And most importantly, it's really good and you should buy it. That's all I really have to say. Interesting thing, though. The SMWS doesn't just outright call this an island whiskey. I think on the bottle, it just says Highland. In the books, it says Highland/Island. Because, of course, the SWA doesn't recognise it as its own region. What's your thoughts on that? I feel like they should.
I think Island's different. Like, for me, Island is different.
Yeah.
How can you combine Aberfeldy with Lechaig? It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
There is an island personality that is just so different.
Yeah.
From a lot of those Highland malts.
And it's not like it wouldn't work. The precedent's already been set that you can have like a subsection of an area be specific. I think part of the argument in the past has been that, well, you can't have Island because then Isla would technically be an island. It's like, well, yeah, but Speyside's technically Highland, and you separate that. Like,
well, Glenfarclas is in Speyside, but they still put Highland on the
well,
bottle.
this is also true because it's technically both, right? Yeah, and like, I mean, I guess if Island was technically made a region, Isla whiskies could call themselves both Isla and Island, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, this is as far away from a Klein leash as you could possibly bloody get.
Yeah. I would separate them. I would do Campbellton, Isla, Island, Highland, Speyside, Lowland.
Yep.
Do it that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Viva la Revolution.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost actually at the point where I feel like maybe we should even split Speyside into two, north and south. But,
Or we should do the Cairngorms National Park.
Yes.
Speyside malts. Like Carnival. And
that'd be awesome.
Separate all the rest.
Region
so that we have a very small region that we dominate.
The Cairngorm region. That's awesome. That's a great idea.
All right.
Well, thank you very much, Leon, for joining me for this outro.
Cheers.
It's excellent to have a special guest.
Yeah,
I know I've had a lot of requests in the comments section to have more of Brett. I'm very sorry. I will get Brett back, but when there's a Leon in town, I've got to get the Leon.
Brett will be next month, won't he?
Hopefully, yeah. We'll try and get him back.
He was in the shop today.
He was.
He was.
He was keeping busy.
Good.
I mean, it's fun in the store today because, like, finally, of course, with the with the strikes ending, we got our delivery on Friday. We normally get deliveries on Wednesdays. And because we got delivery on Friday, we now have absolutely no idea if we're getting a delivery tomorrow or not. Like, there's no communication. I have no idea if we're getting a delivery tomorrow, which is going to make for a really fun day.
Makes life exciting.
It really does. Beautiful. Well, Slanjabar, thank you for joining us here at Drinking Out Loud. It's been awesome to be back here drinking SMWS whiskey on YouTube with you. I say this approximately once a year, but I'm going to say it now. You should like and subscribe to the channel because it helps. It helps get the channel in front of more viewers. And you should also go across to Whiskey Web and check out Leon's channel. I don't know if you've had time to actually upload anything since moving to Scotland.
No.
But there's a lot of really awesome content on there.
I may do that in the future. I've just been, since I moved over on the 1st of May, I've been pretty busy focusing on the new job. So once that settles down, then maybe there'll be more.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you need tips on how best to pass a motorcycle test, it's the place to go.
Yeah.
Or if you want to learn all about some of Leon's past projects, it's the place to go.
Yeah.
And speaking of past projects, we're about to end this recording and start a brand new recording. Check out on YouTube. We're about to do an unbottling of a pair of gins for our sister club, the Juniper Collective. And a very special gin for Leon indeed is about to get opened. So, Slanjavar, see you over there.
Slanjavar.
Oh, leads me on my spinning wheel, leads me on the rock and reel. Clap to tea that cleats me bean, helps me feel and warm a teen. Set me down and sing and spin, lady sends the summer sun. Less we content and milk and meal, leaves me on my spinning wheel. On Ilka and the Barney's trot, and meet below my thicket cot. The scented bark and hawthorn white, across the pool their arms unite. I like to screen the birdie's nest, little fishes call her rest. Sun blinks kindly in the blue, where blithe I turn my spinning wheel. Like to screen the birdie's nest, little fishes call her rest. Sun blinks kindly in the blue, where blithe I turn my spinning wheel. On lofty aches the cushats wail, and echo corns the dull-foot tail. The lint whites in the hazel braes, delighted rival others' lace. Crake among the clover hay, Petra quarren o'er the lea. Swallow jink and run my shield, amuse me at my spinning wheel. We smart to sell and less to buy, aboon the stress below envy. Oh, why would leave this humble state for all the pride, oh, all the great? Mid their flair and idle toys, amid their cumbrous and some joys, they the peace and pleasure feel, oh, Bessie at her spinning